All right, let's talk golfer's elbow and tennis elbow, okay? So tennis elbow is something that's on this side of the elbow, and the golfer's elbow is something that tends to be on the inside portion of the elbow. You might feel it more on the forearm or above, more in the tricep area, or up here on this side of the tricep, the bicep for a tennis elbow condition. So what happens is these are often overuse injuries, and so just from heavy loading or a lot of playing, whether it's golf or a related sort of flexion type sport, you're rotating this way, having to flex your wrist quite a bit, or in tennis, because tennis elbow with a lot of this extension and rotation here, it gets overused pretty easily. So, but it's also sometimes something that is a compensation. So it's an injury that happens or a condition that happens as a result of compensation that's resulting all the way from the spine and the shoulder and the scapular region. Whenever you're lacking rotation or mobility or anything, when there's some kind of compensation happening at the shoulder, you have to make up for that at the elbow and the forearm. So whatever lack or thing that you're lacking here, it ends up being compensated for here, and that's when you get that added load and stress. And so how do we treat this? Okay, so this is a proven method. Okay, first you want to desensitize it. So you'll use various tools and methods I'm going to show you here in a minute to desensitize the area, to get input to your nervous system, to your brain, that this is a non-threatening thing. You can heal, you don't need this pain signal anymore. Then you want to decompress these tissues. And so whenever you are getting this condition, this pain signal causes all these tissues to kind of compress, tighten up, get really stiff in order to protect that, and that causes this inflammatory response. So it results in pain. That's what you feel. Okay? So decompress and then mobilize. Okay? Once you can mobilize it, you're without pain and you're able to release all the tissues, so you're moving freely, you're not hurting on either side of the elbow. Then that's whenever you get to work more on training it to prevent that. Okay? And that's whenever you can go to our other videos to prevent that more, as far as our shoulder mobility spin up in our previous video that I'll link below. But also things as far as rotational exercises, working on the scapula, the shoulder, on that kind of fitness and exercise. It's going to help prevent that from coming back, so you have better control at the shoulder. It's going to help you have better control at the elbow as well. Okay, so when you have tennis elbow, you have pain on this side of the forearm or the other upper arm. Okay, when you have golfer's elbow on the inner portion of the arm, regardless, the first thing you're going to do to desensitize is you'll use gua sha. Okay, this is a form of muscle scraping. Okay, it's a form of myofascial release. Okay, so you can use a tool such as this one. This is a sidekick, but also you don't necessarily have to use a fancy tool. There's lots of them out there, and they come in all kinds of funky shapes and everything. But you can also just use the back of a normal butter knife that's in your own home, something that's got a dull edge that you can use to scrape. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just light pressure. I'm going to work going down. So if I'm looking at full pressure, I can press it fully into my skin. I don't want that. I want about 50% of that. And I'm just going to be scraping down. This is working on that. If I have tennis elbow, I'm going to work more on the outer part of my forearm, the top of my forearm here, the outer part of my elbow, and even working up into the upper arm as well, on the outer part of the tricep and the bicep. Okay, so you're kind of working just globally, and if you're getting just a little bit of pressure, we don't want like crazy damage or crazy depth on this. You just want to create a little bit of agitation, a little bit of an input here. You'll notice that your skin starts to feel warm, and you might even see a color change where it gets a little bit red or dark here. If you notice you're getting some bruising or any kind of, you're breaking any capillaries or anything in there, then that's you pressing a little bit too hard. So you get about a minute of scraping down, aiming at about a 45-degree angle, and then you'll get a minute where you'll turn around and you'll scrape up again at about a 45-degree angle. And you can do this with a knife. You don't have to buy a fancy tool again. So you're just going to do this for about a minute, scraping each direction, And you'll already notice that, man, it feels warm. You might feel some relief already. This is for the tennis elbow side. For the golfer's elbow, you'd be doing it on the inner portion. Same thing, minute each side, and you'd be aiming more on the tricep here rather than on the bicep for the tennis elbow. So you'd be working on the tricep here, close to the elbow here. Okay? So a minute each side, or each direction, scraping with the muscle scraper tool. You can do that one time per day, again, not going super deep. Okay? So that's gua sha. You can do that for a minute each direction, one time per day, every single day until your pain or stiffness, any kind of symptoms are still present. Once those are gone, then you don't necessarily need to do it every day. You can do it every other day just for an injury prevention. Then, the second thing we do for some desensitization is you have a Voodoo floss band, okay? You can look this up on Amazon, floss band, okay? These are really common nowadays. This is a rubber band, okay? It's long so you can wrap it around different joints and limbs. It's really, really, really effective for blood flow restriction training and for recovery, okay? So a normal ACE bandage is not gonna get the kind of pressure or compression that we're looking for here. And these are pretty affordable. This one is from Rogue, okay? But there's many different brands out there. So whenever we're using this, you can use a buddy, a partner to help wrap this for you, or you can learn how to do it yourself. I'll see if I can get it myself for you here today. But notice I had the band. Now I'm gonna want about, here's a full stretch. I'm only gonna want about 50% stretch as I wrap this around, because I don't want it to be like so tight that I got zero feeling there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this around, get it wrapped around once, okay? So it's kind of tacked down, and then I'm gonna slowly wrap it around itself, getting a little bit more of that stretch. And you just work your way up over the elbow. And you work on getting this back. And then as you get some real estate on the upper and lower side of the elbow, then you can work it through. And then you gotta wrap it within itself. See if I can get this. Okay, now I'm wrapped. So we're gonna stay wrapped for around 2 to 3 minutes. But what I wanna do is what this is doing is creating some pressure on the area. That's some valuable input on our nervous system. It's also creating a little bit of blood flow restriction. You'll feel this, but you can see that I'm not restricting it so bad that I'm getting zero blood flow. It's not like my hand is turning white or anything. If I press it, I can still see as it's white, the blood comes right back. So I'm not totally restricting my blood flow here, but what I want is I want some movement. I'm gonna create some overpressure on the elbow, just rotating my palm to get both angles, getting all that rotation in the forearm that I can. Okay. What this is creating some overpressure on that elbow joint, getting some extra pressure and extra restriction on that. It's valuable pressure. It's like a light kind of massage. It feels like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into, you can use your couch, you can use your bed, you can use a box, a bench, whatever you like, but put your palm down. You can also do this on a buddy's shoulder, and they can help you do this if you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice rotating at the shoulder and rotating that elbow. And I'm going to hold with my hand and create a lot of pressure, squeezing my forearm below the elbow. And I'm going to hold it and resist in the opposite direction. So it's going to actually pull that tissue side to side. So my hand is rotating in the opposite direction of my elbow, my arm. And I'll get some rotation here, and then I'll work on above the elbow, and you'll find which spot feels the best to give some pressure here. But just 2 to 3 minutes of this. And keep working on that pressure here. If you start to feel some tingling in your hand, then it's definitely time to stop, okay? But after you get 2 to 3 minutes on this, we'll also want to do it on the other side. Even if you're not feeling pain on this side, it's a necessary brain input to see like, okay, I'm getting the same input from both arms. So that is a signal to my central nervous system that the injured side or the inflamed side is okay. We don't need that pain signal anymore. We can release that. So after you finish 2 to 3 minutes, unwrap that, and you're gonna feel an awesome rush of blood flow, and you might notice an increased mobility, increase of relief, good pain relief there. So you can wrap that up and move back to it again. You can do this 3 times per day while symptoms last. This is going to be huge for your recovery, for desensitizing those tissues. This is an incredible tool for desensitizing here. Okay, so that's for desensitizing and decompressing. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do is work into what are some of our mobilizations that we can do. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, first thing you do is you can take a tennis ball, but that's not going to be quite the kind of depth of massage or mobilization that we want. But I'm using a lacrosse ball here. It's also really useful to have a peanut, which is basically 2 lacrosse balls that are attached together, either manufactured that way or they're taped together with athletic tape or something like that. Okay, so for tennis elbow and for golfer's elbow, what we're doing is we're working from spine or upstream all the way downstream. Okay, so from spine to the trap, to the shoulder, to the arm, the upper arm, to the elbow itself, and the forearm. Okay, so imagine you're going to be working from spine on downward, because there's nerves that run all the way down, and usually this is kind of a nerve issue here, whichever side you're feeling it. Okay, so if we can release the stiffness and the mobility issues or the compressed tissues that we're having from upstream near the spine all the way down the arm, then we're going to get some significant relief at the point of pain. Okay, so our first thing that we're doing, say we're working on either tennis or golfer's elbow, is we're working right next to the spine. Okay, so with the spine, I'm going to put this ball right next to the neck, but on the trap. Okay, and then as we go, we're going to slowly work our way out into this tissue here, right in the middle of the trap. We don't want to go too low, getting into that rhomboid, because there's more nerves down there. But we're going to stay in the trap. You're going to work your way out. And I'll demonstrate how we do this, but then we'll gradually work into the rear deltoid and the lat, the top of the tricep, where all those connect here in the shoulder girdle. We'll also work on the front side where our pec is. Okay? Then as we go, we're going to work down into the tricep, which is going to be better done on a bench or a box, and we can work into the forearm as well. Okay, that's where we're going, traveling with this ball. Okay, so I'm starting, when I'm working on the trap, I want to be on the floor here. So I'm starting right next to the neck. Okay, and so if this is where you need to stay, that's fine. Okay, you're getting some light pressure, and you're just going to be working through range of motion. Imagine doing just 1 to 2 minutes in each area and slowly just working your way down on this. If you need some extra pressure, then you can bridge your hips up, get some extra pressure straight into that ball, and you're just working and go straight overhead. And you can also go straight overhead and reach for the opposite hip, work on different rotation, find the different angles where you get the best input or the deepest massage. If you find a spot that's really kind of painful, stay on that spot. Tell your brain that it's okay. Okay? Stay on that spot. Take a deep inhale through your nose. It's important to do this through the nose. Take a deep inhale. Fill that belly. Hold it for 4 seconds and then exhale and count to 8. You basically just want to do double the time on the exhale and reach the bottom of that breath. Full exhale. And then just keep moving again. Okay? So I'll slowly work my way out into the meat of that trap, getting deeper into that tissue there. And you're just continuing to move on this mobilization. Once you get 1 to 2 minutes aside, you really want to pick just a couple of areas a day whichever areas are needing the most work. Small inputs every day, every single day of the week, added up over time is gonna get you a massive release in this, okay? Now, working into this shoulder girdle, okay, in the lat, I can work over on top of here. This is where I'm gonna turn to the side, and now I'm able to work short lever with my arm bent, rotating, finding the spots that need it most, where I'm most stiff. Where am I compensating? Where am I stiff that's forcing me to put pressure on my elbow? So I'm rotating here. Now I can also go long lever, where I am just dropping my hand forward and having my arm extended, okay? You just keep rotating, you're finding those spots. You find a spot that hurts really bad, again, inhale through the nose, make it tight, flex that muscle against that ball, hold it for 4 seconds, and then exhale to get to the bottom of that breath and let that muscle fully relax over the ball, okay? Again, 1 to 2 minutes on this area. Then once we get into working more onto the arm, this is where you'll want a bench or a box. Okay, and this is much better to have a peanut, but I'll demonstrate with just a ball here for you. What I'm doing is, if I'm having golfer's elbow, I'm going to bias towards more of the inner part of the tricep. If I'm having tennis elbow, I'm going to bias towards the outer part of the tricep. Okay, what I'll show you here is I'm just going to create some deep pressure and massage on this. And I want to kind of pull the skin to the side, so I'm having to hold the ball with my hand so it doesn't roll. I don't want to just roll the ball back and forth. I can do that to kind of search where my priority needs to be, but I also want to kind of pull that ball and kind of get some twisting on the skin, okay? So I can improve the relationship of the muscle and the skin sliding. I can also hold it there and move through different ranges of motion. Again, if I'm working on more of the outside part, I might want to bias toward the outside part here so I can work on my tennis elbow. Working on even the full lateral side of my arm, and I can create some overpressure by putting my hand on top and just sink into that. Okay, if I'm feeling a lot of pain in there, then again, just inhale, tighten that up against that ball, and then exhale and relax. Do that as many times as it takes to help you relax and melt into that ball. Okay. Once you get through working on the outer part for the tennis elbow or the inner part for the golfer's elbow, then we're going to work down into the forearm. Same kind of mobilization, but I'm going to be working more into this for the golfer's elbow. Again, getting that overpressure. I'm just rotating and flexing and extending the hand. You can even add some small circles in here. I can add some rotation into that. If I need to get more into the tennis elbow side, I'm going to need to kind of rotate my body and really get some overpressure into that and try to add some rotation and resistance here. See if I can hold that. Okay? You can change the way your hand is moving. See if you can force those tissues to try to slide and glide with some compression going into them with that ball. Okay? So that's mobilizations with the ball. That's going to be huge for releasing the tissues there, in the stiffness that's in your arm, all the way from the neck all the way down through the forearm. Okay? So if you don't have a ball, you can also even just use a dumbbell. You can get some similar action on the tricep and the forearm as well. But now the last thing I'm going to show you guys is just called some blood flow restriction training. Okay, this is really simple. Okay, you're going to take a band. You can even use a basic medical ACE bandage for this. You don't have to use this band in order to do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around super light, like right at the top of my bicep. What this is going to do is, I'm not even going 50%. I'm going like 30% here. It's just enough to create a slight restriction. Shouldn't be uncomfortable at all. I should be able to sit here with this for several minutes, no problem, no big deal, okay? So once I got this wrapped around, then I can put that in itself. Okay, with this blood flow restriction, what I'm doing is, See if I can get this tacked in there. There we go. Light restriction here, okay? So you might see I'm getting a little bit more vascular, but I'm not really restricting very hard, okay? So you take a light weight. I'm talking like significantly less than what you would normally do for a bicep curl. Normally you do this standing. I'm doing it sitting so you can see me in the video, but what you'll do is you can also do this sitting if you want to, okay? You're gonna get 30 repetitions of a bicep curl. You get 30 seconds rest. Then you'll get 15 repetitions with a bicep curl. 30 seconds rest. So 30 seconds, or 30 reps, 30 seconds. 15 reps, 30 seconds rest. Then you do 15 reps again, 30 seconds rest. Then you do one last set of 15 reps, then you're done. Okay, so it's 30, 15, 15, 15, 30-second rest after every single one. So it's really simple. You're just doing a bicep curl. All we're doing is getting some input. We're using that elbow, using that musculature, and so it should be a weight that is really light for you to do 30 repetitions for, no problem, because it's going to feel a little bit more difficult with the blood flow restriction. Okay, so when you get 30, I definitely did not just do 30, but just an example. You get 30 repetitions, and then you'll take 30 seconds rest. So you're gonna need a clock in front of you while you do this. Then you get 15 more, 30 seconds rest, 15 more, 30 seconds rest, and then one last set of 15. So what that does is you've got some serious desire or demand for some blood flow. So when you unwrap this, you're gonna get a massive rush of blood flow, and this is just another part of the rehab saying, hey, this is safe to use, we're good to go. You're gonna feel a rush of getting all the good stuff in, the bad stuff out, and we're good to go. This is a protocol that you can follow to get some significant relief from your golfer's elbow or your tennis elbow that you're feeling for good elbow health. As your symptoms get relieved, you're not feeling the pain anymore, then you can start working much more on the shoulder strength and stability, working on all the other issues that we're facing in releasing this entire fascial system. And any good strength conditioning coach, any good physical therapist is also going to be looking to find the root cause. And so don't just focus only on your elbow. Address the overhead mobility as well. Can you reach overhead without having to compensate in any way? We always want to be addressing these problems hand in hand, but this is a specific protocol to help you address the issue of the pain that you feel at the elbow. See you on the next one.